TA video. I'm diving into Bitcoin. This is on the 4 hour. Again, Bitcoin's the front runner. We need to keep an eye on this because alts will ultimately follow behind. And if Bitcoin does take a roll here, you're going to see your alts crash as well. But yeah, so what's happened here? I do believe that you've come into this sort of horizontal here, and I do believe that you've lost support of this. Right, yeah, so he's coiling up in this sort of pattern here like this, resistance support, and you've lost support. So I do believe you are rolling over, and potentially this could be a left shoulder, a head, and this is your right shoulder, and you're in some head and shoulders pattern, and you've lost support of the neckline of that as well, which is the support of the horizontal triangle within itself here. So you can see that support, left shoulder, support, head, support, choppy, right shoulder, support. So you've created this head and shoulders pattern as well, and because you've lost that, I do believe you're on a technical target roughly from there to about there, I think it is. And you can see that what you're basically doing, I think I mentioned in a previous video on Bitcoin, is this wick here, is that you could come up, run into resistance and roll over and fill the wick in with a bodied candle and actually create a closed candle down here or on this technical target from that head and shoulders, because this is just a wick. The close is here. You can see that it came down and it closed here. But right now I think you're coming down and you're going to fill this wick in with a close somewhere and still potentially be getting these higher lows, and it would act as support because it happened multiple times. I mentioned again in the previous video that you came down here for a level of support, and that what happened, you came out, got run into resistance, and you fell back to the exact same level of support and got a bounce. If you look here, you came down for support, you came out, got rejected, fell back exactly to where you broke out from and got a bounce. So potentially you're doing the same right now. You come down here, you're falling back to where you've come back from, and you get a bounce. When people are most fearful, because that's what's going on in the market at the moment. There's a lot of fear, and it normally represents good entry points. I was watching another video earlier from a YouTuber that I watch, Coins Kid, and he was mentioning that November, December are normally the most two bullish months within a bull run, or towards the end of the bull run. But this year it's been a bit different, and it's kind of created its own path. I do believe potentially there's a lot of financial and institutional investment coming into crypto, and a lot of FUD around it. And I do think there's a lot of pressure on it, essentially, on the markets at the moment, especially from COVID and the new Omicron variant and so on and so forth. But you get the point. But yeah, that's potentially what's happening here. And we could see that from this local high, where you actually ran into resistance, that you hit your head on resistance here multiple times, where you crashed. We're going to get a fib on from that high to the low that you crashed to, and see what's going on right now. So you can see that what's happened is you've come down, you've ran up into the 050, you lost it, hit your head on the 050 again, and you come back down, and now you're falling to the 0786. And potentially, because we've come up now and we're creating higher lows, I want to go from this low here, this low, back up to that high, and see where we currently are. So right now, potentially, Bitcoin would ideally kind of want to hold 0236 at 46k. You can see it's wick down there, wick below it already, but it's closed above it. It closed above it, and it's closed above it currently. And you're falling back to this low here for support. So as I said, you're doing what you've done before. You're rolling over to it for support. So if you can come here, hold this, and actually get a bounce now, start getting above these EMAs as they come down on your head, this is where potentially you could see Bitcoin break out and start reversing this downtrend it's in. But you are in a downtrend, and the trend is your friend until that is invalidated. So regardless if that's to the upside or to the downside, I mentioned you've got this head and shoulders pattern here, which is a potential play. You lose that support here of the head and shoulders, which is roughly about there to there. You can see from the head to the neckline that you are in a technical target back down here, and this is where I think you'd fill in a candle. I'm not saying you're just going to shit your bed and go there within a few hours. You possibly could, but I think it would be a slow walk down, hitting your head on resistance. As these EMAs come down, you come back up to it, get rejected, and this is where you get your bounce and you get overextended, and you come back up, and boom, you've created a double bottom for yourself if you come down to meet this target here. So it's a higher low, you see. So all eyes on Bitcoin. If we zoom out and have a look at what's going on as well, let's go to the weekly. From the all-time high down to the low in June. Yeah, and potentially, you know, I think within, it would make sense within that pattern that I just showed you, the technical target would be the weekly 55, because you could see within this that you've come down, you came to the 0618, you came back up to the 382 and the 20 EMA on the weekly and got rejected. So, you know, and you've lost the 050 at 48k, you've lost it. So your next technical target within this fib range is the 0618 at 44k, 44,165. That's on the weekly time frame as well, and that is where I expect you to, you know, as I said, you got this low. If you come to the 0618 and get a close down there on a low, it's still a higher low technically, and this is where you could start to get your break up, come through these fibs, and reverse this trend that Bitcoin's in currently. So all eyes on Bitcoin, guys. You are in a downtrend. Keep an eye on it. Look for levels of support. And as I mentioned, zooming out is always a good shout. The 0618 here and the 55 EMA is key to for Bitcoin to hold. If you start losing this low here, this is where you start to get really negative. So this is a key area to keep on your charts, and it currently sits at a price of around $39,215. So if Bitcoin starts to roll over here, you know, comes down, hits its head on the 0618 and loses the 786 essentially as well, that is where you start getting very bearish, and you essentially lose this low here. Ultimately, if you lose that and hit your head, that is the rollover and you are entering the bear. But as I said, optimum fear is optimal entry points, and you are still in a bull run. You are still creating higher lows for yourself currently. So, you know, you're just on a rocky path. So yeah, keep an eye out, guys. Keep an eye out. But that's a little update on Bitcoin. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm very, very grateful for all your support so far. Let's get this going, and fingers crossed, guys. But yeah, until next time, everybody, take care. Peace out.